Hey there, it's Tara, she of all things transformational guidance, coaching, transformational bodywork, and for our purposes here today, transformational yoga. And today we're going to be focusing on headstand. So headstand is a major pose in the yoga asana family. Sometimes it's referred to as the king of all poses because its benefits are so important. There's so many great things about doing headstands and all inversions that help with mental stability, physical vitality, energy. It's thought to help with cognitive function. It's thought to help with the function of the pineal and the pituitary glands, which are the glands that have everything to do with regulating all the systems of your body, but also the third eye. And so intuition and awareness and connection to the divine. Also, it should not be understated how powerful it is for inversions of all variety to help with elimination and constipation issues and things like this. So you don't need to do headstand to help with that, but headstand's one of the really powerful poses for helping with that. In addition, headstand is excellent for helping with posture correction because when you do headstand properly, it really aligns the intrinsic core muscles on the vertical axis, because otherwise, if you don't do it correctly, you're crushing your vertebrae. And so correct integrated practice of this pose builds core tone so that you have the ability to then, when you're standing upright on your feet, then you have that vertical core line toned well. So what we're going to do today to get ready for it is we're going to just practice by putting a couple things on our heads. All you're going to need for today's practice is some kind of blanket that you can rest your head on when we actually practice. You need to be against a wall because we're going to use a wall for the inclining part. And then a heavy book. And if you have something heavy, like in my yoga studio, I have yoga sandbags. They're about 10 pounds. If you have a weight that's about 5 pounds, maybe a weight with a towel so that you have something soft under the weight on your head or something like that is fine. If you don't have anything, you can skip this part, okay? It's fine. So first we're going to use our book. I'm using Autobiography of a Yogi, Paramahansa Yogananda. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take the book, and you could use a yoga block too, like a cork yoga block. The foam ones don't really have enough weight to make it worth the practice. You're going to take the block and you're going to just bring it to the top of the head, kind of where a baby's soft spot would be. That's where what we call the śīrṣā of the head is. And then bring the hands down. And this is Tadasana. But you can feel how when you have this book on the top of your head, it's very important to have that lift up through the back top of the skull, lengthening the vertebrae and rooting down through the feet. So you can feel the neck kind of lengthen here. And if you can propriocept, the top of your ears are probably about level with your ceiling. Okay, we'll take that off. And by the way, if you live someplace where there are people who walk with things on the top of their head, those people have excellent posture. Observe. They are really great to watch because you can't slump and carry something on top of your head. It just doesn't really work. Sometimes I even practice carrying things on top of my head around my house. Okay, and then you're going to take whatever you're using for a weight. Again, I have a 10-pound yoga sand bag, and you're going to place that on top of the head. Something probably, let's say 3 to 10 pounds. I'm going to get a little weight. And so you're going to, again, root the feet down. My feet are lined up with my knees, lined up with the anterior hips. And I want this weight to be even. Good. And you're going to press up into whatever the weight is. Down with the feet. I can feel it's a little uneven. Weight distribution wise. Okay, there we go. So it looks uneven in the image, but it feels more even on my head. And I'm pressing up with the head and down with the feet. So this is informing me of what is my head balance. Okay, good. So you have the idea in your body where to press when you do this. Okay, and so you can release that. Putting that aside. And then we'll talk about hand position. So the traditional hand position is you would have the elbows about shoulder width apart, and you'd have the hands in a fist and the head like this. However, I learned it by opening my palms up like this and kind of forming a headband. And so I rest like this. And my weight will be right here on the back top of the head, kind of the same place where a baby soft spot is going to be. So that's how I'm going to demonstrate it, because that's how I typically practice it. So what we're going to do is you have your blanket against the wall, and we're going to get that hand position, work on that first. And your knuckles can be about, let's say, 2 inches away from the wall. You could be touching the wall, but that might be just a little too close. Okay, so also, I just wanted to remind you that the elbows need to be basically in line with the shoulders. If the elbows splay out too far, you're not going to be able to hold the length in the neck. Okay, so I'm going to come down to the floor. I have my elbows about shoulder width apart. My knuckles are 2 or 3 inches from the wall. And I'm going to just create that headband on the head, placing the head down. And at first, because I haven't lifted my hips, I'm a little bit more on the front top of my head, but that is going to change as I come more vertical. So if you've never done headstand, this could be where you first practice. You could just be here at first. And then if this feels okay to you, rooting down through the forearms, the elbows, you can exhale, lift the hips, and have a little bit more pressure, and then you can walk the feet in. As I walk the feet in, I'm going to bring my balance more to the top of my head. And you can see I'm starting to rock. So the way I was first taught to bring the knees towards the armpits. Guess what? I don't like that, because what happens when we do that is we overly round the back and bring hyperextension into the neck. So I'd rather have you not walk the knees so far into the armpits that you cause that sensation. I'd rather have you work on creating that vertical line from the top of your head to your hips, and then the legs kind of consequently go up. So let's try this again. On the top of my head, I'm going to come, and so just going to be on the tiptoes and walking in, and you can bend the knees here if you need to, and if you want, you can raise one and then the other, bringing the feet to the wall. Or from here, you can raise both together. And of course, if you come against the wall, no problem. So if you come against the wall, probably what you're going to want to do is slide the heels up and slightly tuck the tailbone, because we don't want to have too much lordosis in the low back. That's what's happening right now. This is unstable. So I want to have some strength in the lower tummy, pressing the back top of the head into the floor, same place where the sandbag was. So my neck is long and I'm not crushing those vertebrae. And then if you don't need the wall, or if you can play with one foot against the wall or the other, you can do that. And the idea here is to find that same vertical axis. Please note that my feet have action in them. I'm not, kind of like the legs are not inconsequential. They are consequential. I'm rooting up into the heavens through the soles of my feet, and that's helping me keep the whole entire line of my vertical axis stable and long. So you can stay here as long as it's comfortable. In the Iyengar tradition, sometimes, it's not atypical for the pose to be held up to 20 minutes. That is also a pretty tall order. So maybe a minute or 2 minutes, whatever. But if you're just learning, whatever you can do at first is fine. And then when you're coming down, you have a couple choices. You could bend the knees. And of course, if you're using the wall, feel free. Or you could go straight legs, a little more core tone. Land lightly. And then rest in child's pose. Let the forehead come down to the hands maybe. You can widen the thighs, of course, if you'd like. But we're just going to let the whole body rest for a breath here. So, after you have rested for a couple breaths, as long as you really want, in your child's pose, might be nice to take a blanket, and you can take it open to this shape, fold it accordion style into a long strip, and then fold the top in again for a little pillow. And we'll just bring the hips to the floor. You'll lie down over this blanket. Make that little support under your head so nice and just perfectly supportive to your neck, your occipital ridge at the back of the skull, and your head. Then open the arms and let the front of the body just decompress for a couple breaths. You can take a deep breath in through the nose, nice and slow. Exhale through the nose very slowly. I'm using Ujjayi breath, so if you know Ujjayi breath, you certainly can let that come in here. So I recommend for you to lay here as long as you wish. I'm going to come out and say goodbye to you now, and I really appreciate you watching this video. I hope you got something out of it. I practiced headstand today using an oak tree. I had the branch of the oak tree just on top of my feet and my head in the grass. It was just lovely. So, you can use anything as a prop, and that's what's beautiful about this wonderful world we live in, is that it is a prop for our experiences, isn't it? So if you liked this video, you know what to do, right? You know all the things. You give it a like, you could comment, you could share it with someone who might enjoy it. You could subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I'm going to do my best to continue to deliver to you really cool videos about all things related to yoga and energy concepts and all sorts of juicy tidbits. See you the next time. Thank you so much. Namaste.